our borough and the government of our borough. His follow-through was second to none. So I congratulate him for that, and I know I embarrass him sometimes for saying that, but I recognize the ability that he had within him. And the work, he didn't come to a meeting with half answers. No, they were full answers. They were detailed answers. They were like the answers my wife would give you when I would ask her a question. And 20 minutes later, she'd still be answering the question. And you ask me the same question, and I say yes, and I maybe give you half a sentence. But no. There are some people who are great in giving detailed answers, but John's answers were always very substantive. He played a leading role outside the office in fighting over development on City Island. He's worked very hard to increase funding for local parks and for libraries and playgrounds across the Community Board 10 area. He's active in the 45th Precinct. He's an officer there. And he championed the Stand Up to Violence campaign initiated by Senator Klein in the East Bronx. He understands government, he understands community, and the Chamber understands that his ability that he's shown over the last several years is an ability that's worth recognizing today. So today the Chamber of Commerce honors John Doyle and asks him to please step forward.
Thank you very much. I know some of you, I saw the eyes get a little wide. I just want to, one cue card, so I'm not going to keep you here too long. I know some of you worry about that. Just want to thank Bob, as always. And Bob, you never embarrass me. And something that I promised that if I'm successful on my next endeavor, I'm going to hire Bob. And Bob's going to have one role. It's to show up to events like this and introduce me, because he does a better job than anyone else. I also want to thank Nunzio and Joe in particular. When I got to Jacoby, they were telling me when I first got there that this big annual gala every year, it's the first Thursday of May, if you haven't got a chance, buy your tickets, shameless plug, that funds our auxiliary. And they wanted to honor somebody who they never got to say yes. And they built this guy up, and he was so successful, and really transformed the landscape of the Bronx. And I asked him if I said, who is it? Now, Joe Kelleher. And I've known Joe a very long time. When I worked for Jeff, we used to be in the lunchroom together, and he's always been a great guy, very approachable. And I just called him up one day, and he took the call, and he said yes. And after that, I want to thank you, Joe, because you made me seem far more important than I actually was, and I actually am. Very kind of you. And much like Joe, I would just say that, and it's not just an Irish thing, but the kindness that our people have shown to strangers and to people who've shown up on their door has always been something that has stayed with me. And particularly here in the Bronx, I just want to thank Bob Nolan, who I've already went into. Bob, if I'm successful, you're my Kellyanne Conway. I hope you'll take up that role very seriously. Joe McManus, Jim McQuaid, Pete Sullivan, and someone Nunzio and I were talking about a little bit yesterday actually. Virginia Gallagher, who's recovering now, and I know we're all thinking of her, wishing her well, City Island's own. She said more comebacks than Michael Jordan, more retirement parties than Cher. And let me tell you something, when she was in the ICU at Jacoby, she was taking calls and calling the shots from there. So I want everyone to know she has every intention of coming back. Also, I want to thank my parents who were here today. My mom, most tough and resilient person I've ever known, much like the Irish Heritage overall. And usually I doubt my mom for a while, and there are going to be many more events where I'm going to do that. But also my father, because my father particularly instilled in me about our Irish heritage. My grandmother immigrated to this country, so he's first generation. The bravery, the resiliency, and the kindness of our ancestors, and that character is more important than means. And he's always got a thing that he's always saying to me, and I want you to know, Dad, sometimes it does work through. Don't tell me, show me. And my father, believe it or not, and I know we have the editors of the Bronx Times Reporter here, my dad gets off a little while early on Fridays, and he would go home and know I would be in the paper, so he would read that Bronx Times through and through. And as Laura or John will tell you, by the time the paper goes to bed on Wednesday to where things are on Friday, and many of these stories, the process has changed, and things are not the same as they once were. And my father, the Tim Russert that he is, would be there and be like, you know, John, you said this to the paper, and you're telling me this now, so I want you to know that if I am successful, he'll probably continue to call the shots in that regard. And again, our story is not much different than anyone in this room because we're all immigrants here. Primarily, I didn't see any Native Americans. So, you know, my grandmother came over here. You know, she had to leave everyone and everything she ever knew. And, you know, you weren't handed a better life, but you had to work for a better life. And I would just say, today, that story continues. The names have changed. The faces are a little different. But the stories are still the same, and the values have carried on. And that's what made America great to begin with. Thank you.